My brother's wedding was perfect until I accidentally turned our mom's hands green during the ritual, and that's not even the craziest part of the night. They say Indian weddings are a beautiful mix of chaos and color. I used to think that was just poetic exaggeration, but now I know better, because my brother's wedding wasn't just colorful or chaotic, it was an absolute emotional tornado. And it all started the week the decorators came. See, my older brother Arjun was getting married to the most graceful, poised, and kind human being to ever walk this earth, Neha. And somehow, despite having lived through 27 years of Arjun's clumsiness, selective hearing, and commitment to never using coasters, he managed to land her. The wedding was to be held at our family home in Pune, a 2-story colonial-style house our grandparents built back when phone calls cost money and children listened to their parents. Our house had hosted countless birthday parties, Havans, and Diwalis, but this wedding was the super bowl of social occasions. My name is Mira. I'm 25, the younger sibling, the goofball, and as I'd soon learn, the accidental villain of this story. The first warning sign was my mother deciding to renovate the kitchen 2 weeks before the guests were to arrive. I don't know if it was nerves, the influence of wedding planner videos, or her new obsession with stainless steel, but she looked me in the eye and said, "If people see our mixer has tape on it, they'll think we are poor." I blinked. Who's looking at our mixer? Everyone, Mira. Everyone. So the tiles were ripped out. The new oven didn't arrive. The contractor got dengue. We had to cook the pre-wedding meals on a single electric stove. And yet, somehow, that wasn't the disaster part. Enter the decorators. They arrived 5 days before the wedding with trucks full of marigolds, fairy lights, fabric swatches, and one mysterious white box labeled for Haldi gloves. I asked why you needed gloves for Haldi. "Because turmeric stains beta," said the head decorator, giving me a look like I'd asked if cows could drive. Now, the Haldi ceremony is a big deal in our family. It's like smearing your sibling in spicy mustard while everyone cheers. It's messy, joyful, and oddly emotional. My job was to coordinate the music and hand out the bowls of Haldi paste. Simple, right? Wrong. The morning of the Haldi, everyone was buzzing. Aunties in bright yellow saris, cousins running around with selfie sticks, and Arjun standing there like a sacrificial goat. I handed him his sunglasses, he said. They made him look cool. He looked like a banana in Ray-Bans. Then I spotted the gloves box. Being the organized sibling, or so I thought, I handed out gloves to everyone helping with the Haldi. My mom, my aunt, even our neighbor Mrs. Desai. The gloves were slightly tinted green, but I didn't think much of it. Everything was going great. Arjun was being covered in Haldi. Everyone was laughing. My cousin was live streaming the whole thing for our relatives in Canada. Until Mom screamed. A loud, theatrical scream. I turned to see her holding up her hands, and they were bright green. Not just stained. Neon green. Like she dipped her hands in radioactive slime. "Mia Rhea," she yelled, the way only Indian moms can drag out a name when summoning divine retribution. I ran to her, panic rising. "What happened?" She shoved her hands in my face. "These gloves. What have you done?" Turns out, the decorators had included color-changing gloves meant for a children's science-themed party. When in contact with turmeric and sunlight, they activated some chemical nonsense that turned skin green. And no, it wasn't coming off with soap. Half the women at the ceremony now looked like they were auditioning for a Bollywood remake of Shrek. Cue chaos. Aunties shrieking, children crying, my grandmother praying in Sanskrit. Arjun just stood there, dripping. Haldi, blinking slowly. "This will look awful in the pictures," my mother said dramatically, as if her social standing would never recover. I tried to fix it. Rushed to the kitchen. Whipped up a paste of besan, lemon juice, and regret. Scrubbed. Nothing. One aunt whispered, "Just Photoshop it later." And my mother nearly fainted. We canceled the official Haldi photos. Neha's family, thankfully, had their own ceremony separately and avoided the madness. But that night, during dinner, my mom refused to pass me the chutney. "I can't touch things," she said, raising her alien green hands. "I'm sorry," I whispered for the 5th time. "Sorry doesn't remove permanent dye," she replied. 2. The green faded after 3 days. Right in time for the Sangeet. Which brings us to disaster number 2. You see, the Sangeet was supposed to be our big bonding moment. A night of dance, music, performances. Our family versus the brides. My cousins and I had choreographed an epic Bollywood medley. Except, I forgot to send the final track list to the DJ. So, instead of opening with the classic Mendi Laga Kurakna, we opened with my cousin Kunal's phone ringtone, the Jurassic Park theme song. Everyone looked confused. My cousin tried to keep dancing. Someone in the back yelled, "Is this a dinosaur wedding?" Neha's side didn't laugh. I scrambled to fix it, running to the DJ booth, tripping over a potted plant, and crashing into the sound system. The music stopped entirely. Silence. Then, a loud boom as the speakers turned back on mid-volume with the next track, Baby Shark. My life flashed before my eyes. Arjun buried his face in his hands. Neha looked like she was reconsidering everything. But then, something magical happened. My grandmother stood up and started dancing. I don't know if it was muscle memory or divine intervention, but Nanny started grooving to Baby Shark. With full enthusiasm. Hands doing the shark motion, hips swaying. And because this is India, once the eldest joins in, everyone joins in. The dance floor filled. Aunties in lehengas, uncles with beer bellies, cousins who had never seen a baby. In their life, everyone was doing the shark. Neha started laughing. Arjun exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for a year. Crisis averted. 3. After that, the DJ played the right songs. The rest of the night went off beautifully. People even asked if the Baby Shark opener was intentional. I said yes. I lied. By now, you're probably thinking, surely the wedding day went fine? Well, let's just say Chapter 2 begins with the groom missing a shoe, a drunk cousin threatening the caterer, and the mandip catching fire. But we'll get to that. The morning of the wedding was unusually quiet, like that eerie calm before a monsoon. I woke up to the smell of mogra flowers, sandalwood incense, and unmistakable dread. Arjun, my usually chaotic older brother, was nowhere to be found. I checked his room. Empty. His phone. Off. I ran downstairs, where the mandip was half decorated, and the priest was already sweating profusely. Our mother sat stiffly on the sofa, a glass of glucose water in hand. "Where's Arjun?" I asked. "Meditating," she replied through clenched teeth. "Since 6 a.m.? Yes. To calm his nerves. He's a man of great depth now." I raised an eyebrow. Arjun's idea of meditation was usually scrolling memes in the bathroom. Half an hour passed. Still no Arjun. That's when we received a text. From Kunal, the cousin who was supposed to stay with him the night before. *****, don't panic, but we lost the groom. *****. Panic. Turns out, Kunal had taken Arjun out for one last drive as a bachelor the night before. Somehow they ended up at a roadside tea stall, then crashed at another cousin's house. Neither of them set an alarm. They were currently 27 kilometers away. Without petrol. The priest said if the Mahurat, auspicious time, passed, the next best slot was 3 days later. My mother started hyperventilating. I became the official Arjun tracker. We sent an Uber to rescue him. But, thanks to wedding traffic, it got stuck behind a Barrett in the next neighborhood. Meanwhile, the guests had arrived. Neha's family looked concerned. Neha herself, cool as a cucumber dipped in patience. She simply sipped her coconut water and said, "I'm sure he's coming. He's just dramatic." I loved her more in that moment than ever. Finally, Arjun arrived. Hair messy, shoes mismatched, and kurta half-buttoned. "I had a vision during my nap," he said solemnly. "No one cares," my mom hissed. "Shower. Now." Crisis averted? Almost. As he changed into his sherwani, a blood-curdling scream erupted from the hallway. Ria, our 8-year-old niece, came running. "There's a rat in the shoe basket." Not just any shoe. Arjun's wedding jutas. The very same jutas that had cost 7,000 rupees and were embroidered with gold thread. The rat had chewed right through them. Arjun came out in a towel. "What?" My mom fainted. Or pretended to. We never know with her. Neha's brother offered his shoes. They were 2 sizes too big, so we stuffed cotton in the toes. Arjun waddled to the mandip like a duck in formal wear. And then, the fire happened. Yes, actual fire. It started innocently enough. The priest lit the sacred flame. My uncle, who considers himself an amateur photographer, wanted an epic slow-mo of the fire. He brought his light reflector a little too close. Swoosh. Part of the mandip cloth caught fire. Then the drapes. People screamed. Neha stayed seated. Arjun jumped up and poured coconut water on it. Somehow it worked. Fire extinguished, everyone clapped. We passed it off as a blessing in disguise. Agni Dev just wanted more attention, the priest muttered. The rest of the ceremony went smoothly. They exchanged garlands, circled the fire, took the vows. I cried, because despite everything, the green hands, the dinosaur music, the rat shoes, and the fiery finale, they made it. Love won. Chaos lost. Well, almost. At the reception the next night, during Arjun's speech, he looked at Neha and said, I knew you were the one when you didn't run during the Haldi mess, or the Sangeet madness, or when I went missing today. You stayed. That means everything. Neha smiled, wiped a tear, and said, I stayed because I knew if I left, Mira would be in charge. And I love her, but not that much. Everyone laughed. Even me. And that's how I became the most infamous sibling of the wedding season. But hey, they still send me every anniversary invite. And the decorator? Now uses gloves that don't turn people into aliens.